Coming up on the Middle Class VO podcast.
You have to serve the talent and you have to serve the client. And it's a 50-50 kind of thing, and everybody has to be happy. And if you're doing no vetting, if you're doing nothing to protect the industry, then you're doing nothing to protect your talent. And that's half your job.
If you need e-learning, we're just an email away. Corporate narration, tell us what to say. Explainer video, imaging radio, slinging local cars, reading IVR. No, we ain't no stars. This is the Middle Class VO podcast. The Middle Class VO podcast. The Middle Class VO podcast.
Welcome to the Middle Class VO podcast. Kevin Kilpatrick here in Nashville. Bobby Maxwell is in Cincinnati, and somewhere, I don't know if it's in Texas or if it's in New York, we have from the Sheppard Agency, Erik Sheppard. Erik, how are you?
My goodness.
Now, are you in New York or are you in Austin?
Austin, Texas. Beautiful Austin, Texas.
The second music city.
That is a little hotbed for a VO talent, too.
You know, man, you know, we're trying. There's a lot of talent here, but there wasn't really, like a community so much. And a lot of clients were getting talent from like the local theater groups and that kind of thing. So my wife's been really active with that, trying to kind of get the community together, and they meet up and that kind of stuff. So it's we're getting a little closer, which is pretty cool.
Well, excellent. Erik, we're
Nice.
talking with Erik Sheppard of the Sheppard Agency, who is a voice actor agent, and we're here to talk about representation today. And Erik, it's so nice to finally get to chat with you. I've heard great things about you, and I will tell you.
All lies.
Even the good stuff? No, I doubt that. Especially, here's what I heard about you. I heard, when I told somebody a while back that I wanted to talk to you at some point, and they said, Erik, here's what you need to know about Erik. He will tell you like it is, and he's funny. So that's two great characteristics that I love right off the bat there. And Bobby, you and Erik go back a ways yourselves, right?
Actually, I just joined Erik's roster in the past couple of months.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, brand new.
yeah.
Brand new. We hate bringing people on. I hate bringing people on. It's like a whole thing, I didn't do it for like years. We just had stuff piling up. And we could have 5,000 people tomorrow. There's no shortage of people looking for a representation. But, it's a whole thing. You got to get to know them, and you have to make sure they're not crazy. And, a lot of times you don't know till afterwards. But it's a lot of work to onboard them, and go through the whole, rigmarole. So now we have all kinds of forms and stuff to try to make it a little bit easier, because it's really, it's time consuming. But then sometimes you go through all of that, and then you're like, oh, my God, they're nuts. We're actors, so we're all crazy, But sometimes they're really nuts, and you're like, oh, my God, what have I done? So, for that, just for so many reasons, I don't like taking new people on. But you have to. You can't keep giving clients.
We are in a padded room with talking to ourselves, Erik.
Exactly.
I think just acting in general, or even any sort of performing art or anything, you have to have something wrong with you, and to just not go out and get a regular job. Like, who would put themselves through this nonsense? So, we're all a little off, which is, a positive thing. But yikes, man, you don't really know until you have somebody. And then, you go, oh, man, I've made a mistake. What have I done? We should have brought this person on. They're crazy. So we try to do a lot of vetting and stuff beforehand. And my wife, again, she's great about that. I'll be like, this person sounds great. And she'll be like, they were on Instagram, like, what, like she knows all of what, horrible stuff. And I'm like, oh, good God, I had no idea. They're like, they're wearing tinfoil hats. And I'm like, oh, boy.
We were just talking about this very thing, Bobby and I, in recent weeks about what you're putting out there on social media. So clearly that does have an impact with you, right, Erik?
Yeah, it does. We've always been that way. Again, just to kind of weed out the crazies, life is too short, man. We're busy. And if it's me that's running a session, I'm setting something up, I want to send an email, and say, listen, we're looking for avails for Wednesday and Thursday. And then the talent gets back, hey, I got this, and okay. And, everything goes smoothly. And if you've got, people who are just kind of head cases are real full of themselves or whatever. Well, I don't know. I did audition for it, but I was thinking it should be another $5,000 or blah, blah, blah.
Oh, gosh.
You get that kind of stuff. And, so again, we try to, always check people out and make sure that they're not going to be a pain in the ass. But then, nowadays it's, you have to be careful too, and make sure that they haven't, they're not running their mouth and, talking some sort of psycho stuff that's, you don't want to be affiliated with.
So is it true, Erik, that that people who are submitting, and this is goes back years now, saying that really to get on a big agency, you have to have a good referral. Do you feel that way?
A penny for your thoughts.
I did. That was a thing in the past too. And, look, I could only speak for my agency. I can't speak, in some ways I could speak for other agents because, I've spoken with them or whatever. But, everybody has their own thing. And so, it said something. If you've got a talent that you trust and you know them and you've had a relationship with them, you have a business relationship with them, you blah, 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 has the kids, that kind of thing. Which is something that we're able to do, keeping a smaller roster. We know folks and, some of these folks I've known since way before, the agency, they got a call one day and I was like, hey, guess what? I'm going to rep you now. And they're like, okay, that's how I started an agency. It was just my friends was like, you have no choice. Now I'm your agent. And I'm like, whatever, Sheppard, do your thing. So, folks that you've known forever. And then they go, hey, listen, I'm not going to waste your time, but I got a guy and he's great and, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to take a listen. I'm certainly not beholden to anybody. But then over the years, everybody does it, you can't not have a talent that's not sometimes you sign somebody and it's the next week, hey, by the way, I got 5 friends and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, really? So, when everybody does it and it's so constant, it's not really that special, that referral. But sometimes, I'll get somebody, again, from a talent that I trust. And they'll be like, look, man, I never do this. You know me. I don't fill your inbox. But, I met this guy and he's awesome and whatever. And he's an earner. And, that still means something. So does that mean you're going to pick him up? No. But you'll take a listen sooner than you may have beforehand.
Are you taking on new talents on a monthly basis? Do you have any kind of timeline for that? And then when you do take on a new talent, are you culling your roster?
I try not to call. I try not to get rid of people. I've had people that just haven't booked in forever, and I keep them because I like them. I go, well, I don't know. There's something there. I mean, if we picked somebody up, I like them. Okay. There's something there about them. And I'm a fairly good judge of voice, at this point. So I'll keep them. But, we've lost a lot of people. We've been around for so long. Some folks have passed away. Some folks have aged out. Some folks have left the business. And, unfortunately, a lot of folks have screwed up. They just did, it was something
especially
that was just,
business.
Yeah, it was just either too egregious or it was, they were repeat offenders. And we just said, look, man, we can't, we have to part ways and we can't do this anymore. So, it happens. But as far as a timeline for people coming in, I hadn't picked anybody up, again, years. It had been years. And we just, we were looking at the emails. We're like, God dang, really? It was thousands and thousands of emails. And then, it was it made it even worse. Do you want to go through this? Hell no. I don't want, And, but then we're like, there could be gold in them there hills, So it was yeah, it's time. And, it had been a couple of years and we started going through stuff. And, again, there was stuff that was great. And so we're emailing them back thank you for your email of 2018. and almost, I got to tell you, every single person was cool about it. They were like, hey, I get it. That's how it works, blah, 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 whatever. Except for one guy. There was one guy and he was cursing and do you know I do not deserve to be treated in this manner, blah, blah, blah. Was so offended that we got back to him a year later. Yeah, it was really. It was great. No, we were. I mean, I was laughing, and then I was like, "Well, I mean, we dodged a bullet. Like, that's great."
Oh, well,
because I was
go.
reaching back out because we liked him, and he did us the favor of showing us that he's a douchebag. So that was like saved everybody a lot of time, you know.
What would you say your pet peeves for talent?
Oh, it's the same as as everybody has. Like the naming of files thing is a huge one. And we have talent that we've had for years, and we've just been like, stop, please. Like, I'm begging you. Like, just name the files properly. And they just don't, like, I don't know if they can't or they don't or they won't or, but that makes you nuts, man, as an agent. It's like a whole thing. Because we have our own system internally, and then we work with other people, and then we have clients sometimes that are very specific. It has to be underscore, blah, whatever, and then sometimes you have you'll have 3 things out, and everybody's like, it has to be narrator, underscore, whatever. And then talent starts screwing it up, and it makes your life like you're like, are you kidding me? You're getting hundreds of auditions coming in, and none of them make sense. So that causes a lot of, it's just wasted time. So that's a big one. That's a huge pet peeve. And not check, I'm like, my life sucks because I'm an agent, so I'm like married to the computer, there's like no escape ever. I work like 18-hour days, ridiculous. But talent will just, and it's like remarkable to me. I'm like, how is this even like a viable lifestyle that they won't get back to you for, till like the next day or something? They don't answer the email. And I'm almost like, good for you. That's like fantastic that you're able to do that. But then on the other, it kind of ticks me off. Like, look, I'm trying to set something up for you here, before you go to sleep or something, or, like in between sessions or, while you're on the can or something, like give me a second and let me help you, help me help you.
Even no matter how cryptic it is, like I'll do, sometimes if I'm on the can, I'm checking up on stuff. I'm just trying to stay on top of things, as it were.
Yeah, check your watch or something, man. Get back. It's, I'm never emailing talent like, what's up? How are you? Like, I mean, if I'm emailing, it's, it's because, listen, we need you on Wednesday. So, it's amazing to me that talent just don't, they're not booked out or it's, you understand not everybody's going to get back to you immediately because they're in session or whatever. But, that next day stuff is like, come on, man.
So that's good to know. That is a little bit of a pet peeve. And I saw the Facebook post you put out there a week or so ago, and it just kind of addressed so many of the things that Bobby and I have talked about that are annoying to agents, addressing Erik Sheppard as dear Mr. or Mrs., or, not even doing enough research to get a name and seeing what they're all about. And I would love...
They should have known it's Your Highness is preferred.
Exactly. Did the, Sir or Lord Erik Sheppard?
You do have the crown on your logo.
Well, yeah. That was almost like half a joke. Folks who know me were like, of course. Like, yeah. Even my wife was like, I was playing with stuff, and I was like, how about this? She's like, yeah, it's my husband right there. Like, Sir Sheppard, the king, whatever. My kids, like, rolling their eyes, like, yeah, whatever, Dad, man.
So, Erik, you've been doing this 2+ decades now, agency work. And what are some of the ebbs and flows that you've seen from the advent of home studios to COVID to every on-screen actor wanting to do voiceover now? What are some of those ebbs and flows that you can talk about in your period doing this?
For a while, we were always talking about like this fast-paced industry and this rapidly changing, whatever.
Right.
But for a while, it was pretty uneventful, I think. Technologically, there was, it was like, now we're not using like DAT tapes, like all right, that's a thing.
Heard that forever.
Yeah, I know, I'm pretty old. I know, it's ridiculous. There were things like that were changing the game a little bit. But then it was like, it just seemed like everything, got super accelerated. And it was, all of a sudden, like, speaking again from being old, and I've talked about this before, so my apologies to anyone who's listened to me before. Not that I get too many second listeners. But, I'm back from the time, like when the announcers roam the earth. And like that was it. Like if you were a dude, Like even if you were a female, you know, it was just very announcer, and that was like a huge, like a bomb went off when everything, you know, really went conversational. It was like, and you know, I know a lot of people, man, they didn't make it. Like they were just casualties along the way because they couldn't, you know, they just couldn't be conversational. It was impossible. So that was massive, you know, as far as like a sea change. But then in the past couple years, man, holy cow, like I don't even recognize the industry anymore. I don't recognize the people. I don't recognize the culture. It's that's really the word for it. It's unrecognizable. It's crazy. With the advent of pay-to-plays, when Voice Bank was bought out, that was like a huge bomb went off, you know, which they did on purpose. Having just every other talent who couldn't make it become a coach, bring in 5 billion other people. You know, obviously that's going to change the landscape. It changed rates. It changed, you know, which of course changes the whole business. You know, if you've got a room with 10 people in it, and they're all having a great time forever, and now all of a sudden that room has 10,000 people in it, the dynamic is going to be completely different, and and that's what happened. Back in the day, you had to, you needed to remortgage to get your gear, for God's sake. You had racks full of stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's, everyone's selling you on, get a Yeti and a Dream or whatever. I used to call them the Snowball Coalition. So it's easy to do. And you get folks that are like, hey, man, I'll do it for beer money. I'll do it for $5. I'll do it for $50, whatever. And I know plenty of folks, again, I've been doing this for 30 years, man.
Well, with that being said, Erik, do you think the future of the agencies is still good?
I don't know. I think that. I'm like, am I a dinosaur? Is this going to be viable anymore? It's as long as there's an industry, people are going to want agents. But is there going to, so the question that I ask is there going to be a voiceover industry? It's completely unrecognizable, now. Is it something that's, that's still going to be there in a couple of years? Is it something that's going to be there, in 2 years? Are people going to be able to support themselves? And I don't know. I really don't. And I hate to be a downer. And years and years I've been saying, because we saw the writing on the wall, man. We saw what was going on. We saw what was going on with the pay-to-plays. We saw what was going on with everything going on union. It didn't take a genius to be like, hey, what's up? And then you just felt like, like this guy is falling, this guy is falling. You're shouting it, like with a bullhorn. And I was on every podcast in the world and whatever, like, hey, listen, things are bad and whatever. And everyone was like, whatever, like you're, overreacting. And not that I'm like, I told you so. But yeah, it was that bad. And I think a lot of people just didn't want to realize, this is going to be a real bummer for everybody. And now we're here. So now we just have to figure out how to go forward.
And you've seen it all. It sounds like, but you come from the acting side. Is that right?
Yeah. I did my first job. I was 17.
No kidding. And are you still actively voicing?
It's fun. That first job that I did when I was 17 was a telephony job, like for a friend's. Their parents had a business, and then whatever, and it was all. But anyway, like they knew this kid with a nice voice.
Yeah, they said you had a nice voice, I'm sure.
Yeah, just like everybody else. Like, that's how they got in the business. Yeah. But they paid me like real money. I was like, it was like crazy, beer money for a kid was like insane, And the stuff that I do now, like I don't even audition anymore or whatever. But I still do telephony. I have clients that I've had for, like 20 years. So I'm like, all right, whatever, I can't not do it for them. But I'm busy, man. I'm running an agency. I screwed myself when we started as an agent, and people were like, well, you're an actor, whatever. And I was like, well, I don't know, this will be good for me. Like, I'll like I could rep myself. I'll audition for my own stuff. I never saw it as like a
conflict.
No, because I'm like, I'm not like, if someone's better than me, I'm not going to be like, no, there's only me that did. Like, you can't, you know what I mean? You can't put yourself to the front of the pack. You're either good or you suck or whatever. But everybody was just creaming me. Like, I guess I'm not that good. You just hear stuff and be like, really, guys? Like, they There just stuff would come in that was great, and I'd be like, forget it. And then after a while, it was like, I don't have time, so I didn't bother. I became agent man. So agenting kind of killed my voiceover career, actually. But what are you going to do?
So can you explain the typical process, and I use the word typical, when you use talent that are on your roster to submit to for the casting? I mean, say you get a job from a casting agency. What does Erik do with the ones that come in?
We jump, man. We jump as fast as we can, because so many talent have this thing like first come, first serve. And so many times if we're getting something, even when they're like, this is just for you because I love you, buddy, you're the best, whatever. And then talent will email us back like, this was on 1, 2, 3, Like everyone's so full of shit. But yeah, sorry about that. But so we jump, we want to get it out there as fast as possible before talent are like, sorry, somebody else got, whatever. But my thing is, now, when we put out an email, everything basically that I do as an agent, which, of course, informs how the agency operates, is all coming from the standpoint of being an actor. And when I had agents and I was like, that's cool, that sucks, what did I enjoy from the actor side? So any interaction that I have with the actors. Now, of course, that's only half of it. The other half is you have to make the clients happy as well. You have to service the talent and you have to service the clients, and everybody's got to be happy, or at least not hate you for things to go well. So we jump to get it out, but I try to send out something that makes sense. A lot of times a client will send, it's like 6 attachments. Here's a thing with the specs, and then here's another piece of paper that's got the references and all this, all this nonsense stuff. So we try to, as quickly as possible, put all that stuff into a casting that talent could just look at it and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense, instead of having to, figure it all out. We try to do the figuring out for them. Also, we have to figure it out first to make sure whether it's worth it, whether we want it. Sometimes it's that 4th attachment you open where they're like, just kidding, it's all usage, man, whatever. And you're like, gotcha. You jerks. So, yeah. So we have to tear everything apart, make sure it's, something that we want to do, something that's worth it, and then get it out there. So, that's step 1, get it to the right talent. And then it's this stuff comes in. We vetted our talent as much as possible. We made sure they're the best talent. We made sure they're not nuts. We made sure that they're, have the perfect studios and they're full-time, et cetera, But, everyone's going to send in a stinker sometimes. Not everybody could do everything. Some folks aren't very good at they're just not very self-aware, I think, as far as what they can do and what they can't do. Some folks think they could do everything, and nobody can. So you go, you shouldn't have gone for that, So you call the stinkers a little bit. You get the good ones. We set them up in our system, so we got a nice, pretty interface, and then we get it to the client. We tell them first, like if it's Monday and the client says we need these on Friday, we tell you we need them on Wednesday, and we start sharing them with the client on Monday. They'll get a link. We'll say, we've got some good ones in, click here, and we'll continue adding to that same directory, as they come in, and then we'll let you know when they're all in. So it behooves talent, because that's how most people do it. Most agents do it. So it's good to get it in early. Even if you've got, I got days. Sometimes by the due date, it's already cast, or it's done. It's in the can, so get it in.
Erik, do you play well in the sandbox with other agents, or is there any cattiness among agents?
To my knowledge, there was agents are very hold your cards close kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I very, very rarely even had any interaction with other agents. It would be like, you'd go to a convention or something, and you'd see each other on the, the thing, oh, excuse me, as you're, going to your, your seat or your mic or whatever. And then, maybe you'd meet up at the bar afterwards or whatever. But that was pretty much it, at least, my own dealings. You weren't hanging out and, at the water cooler or whatever. And you certainly aren't, exchanging notes.
Right.
Because you just don't until we started the Voiceover Agent Alliance, the VO Agent Alliance, and that's when we came together, and it was weird. It was like, hello, like, are we allowed to talk to each other? Like, I don't even know. It was freaky, and then to be like, all right,
is that still out there?
Yeah, we're still together. We've lost some agents because they're not, they closed down. They're not agencies anymore. But we're still active. We're still talking. We're still trying to fight the good fight.
How have you survived this long?
Wit. By the skin of my teeth. No, hard. I've thought about that before because there are agencies that have folded.
Yeah, big ones.
And we're still there. We're still in the, I'm still in a, late model car, and I got a big house and all that jazz. I don't know. I'm doing something right. I had no idea what I was doing when I first started because you can't just go to agent school.
They don't have one of those?
Yeah, right, exactly. Thank God. There will be soon some failed.
Run by King Erik Sheppard.
Yeah. No, man, I wouldn't tell anybody. The thing is, that's one of the reasons why there's too many talent is because all these talent, I'll tell you all this shit, this is how to do it, blah, blah, blah. And then if you ever teach one of those classes, talent are like, listen, that's great, but if you could tell me all the clients that you call to, are you freaking kidding me, man? And listen, I'm not against people helping each other out and blah, blah, blah. That's great. That's what was so great about the industry in the first place. And I had other talent, massive talent, that helped me as a talent back then. But again, no one helped me as an agent, and I just kind of made it up as I went along. Like I said, but I started with a stellar roster, which was great because, like I said, I had friends. I just had a lot of friends that were actors. And like I said, I was just like, I'm your agent now. And they were like, well, whatever. But however we've done it, I think it's the vetting of talent. We like to say, no matter where you click, no matter where you go, it's all needles, no haystack. There's not a matter of, you got to pour through to find the good stuff. Everybody that we have, that we rep, is going to be good. And I think they like that. And hopefully, they like the whole experience. So, they're coming back for now, which is great.
That's Scab-worthy.
Animation and gaming are pretty hot genres right now. What do you see? Your agency magic. What do you see as something that's going to be a hotbed in the next year or two?
Like as far as genre or within that genre?
Yeah, as far as genres overall.
Man, I don't know. That stuff is big. I think, some of that AI stuff is getting big, and that's forget about it. We could talk about that for hours, which is so scary,
You have to see my post today on the voiceover community about AI. Triggered a couple of people.
Back in the day when you did one of those things, it was, and I know talent that have done it, and you didn't really think it was a bad thing, You were like, all right, It's a text-to-speech, whatever thing.
Yeah.
But they would, usually, you lived in a hotel for 3 months. You would, they would fly you to wherever, sometimes a whole other country, and then you lived there, they put you up and whatever. So you had to figure out a per diem and all this stuff. But then, they're just taking them and selling it, and the technology is getting so crazy. And it's just nuts to me. And we get contacted all the time. And it's not just spammy nonsense. They're like, hello, Mr. it's actual emails. We would love for you to be involved in your talent to be blah, blah, blah. You're the competition, dumbass. Your product is trying to put us out of business. Why would we voice this? But talent are masochists, man.
Yes.
That is really half the reason why we're at where we're at is because, talent don't, you know what it is? They're just wired. Actors are wired, but yeah, okay. Take direction and be nice and do what people tell you and not cause a stink, which is why you want to get an agent because we'll be the jerk-offs for you and, be hardcore and you could just be Mr. Nice Guy. But I don't know. But, I think that's going to get bigger. The audiobook stuff got huge. But, what's a shame is that the audiobook stuff, which, is, I think, becoming even more popular. And then, like you're saying, the gaming and all that stuff is more and more popular. And all that stuff pays terribly, which is such a drag.
All three of those,
our bread and butter, yeah. And our bread and butter has always been commercial. which usually pays a lot more. But now, like, nobody wants to like do like radio commercials, you know, and a lot of times they don't even want to do TV commercials, you know, anymore. So, you know, it's all on the web where it's, you know, directed to the right eyeballs and that kind of stuff, which, hey, that makes sense. Like, you want to sell, you know, soda pop or whatever you want, you know, you want to get to soda drinkers. But then the client's like, oh, it's just web use. Like, it's not, you know, it's not broadcast or anything. So it's only, you know, we don't have a lot of money because things have been really tough for Coca-Cola lately. And,
yeah.
You know, you're like, the fuck, get out of here, man. Are you kidding? You know, so the rates go down for that as well because web is the new broadcast. But then they think, you know, well, it's not going on television. So obviously we're not paying TV money. Yeah, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? So
that's how you should answer your phone, Erik, nowadays. Web is the new broadcast. This is Erik. How can I help you?
It is, you know. I mean, it's like I said, that's always, you know, been and we do a lot of web things and little explainers and stuff, you know. And we've had some explainer clients for years and years and years. And folks are like, why do you bother with these little, you know, these things are like $400 and whatever. I'm like, well, you know, 40, 50, $100 or whatever a pop for us. But yeah, some of these we do 20, 30 of them a week. You know, so after a while, you know, that adds up and you go, all right, but that's a whole lot of work. You know, you compare setting up that many sessions to like, you know, 1 or 2 or 10 commercial sessions. You know, that's fantastic. And it was fantastic for talent. But compare that to just 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you know, where it was union, where it was, you know, they paid well. And then everything went non-union. But they would pay through the nose for non-union. Because they were like, we don't want to like do with paperwork, a union or whatever. And they know everybody does, you know, union talent do non-union work anyway. But so just to not have to deal with any of that, they were like, they were paying over scale.
Nice.
So, okay, like,
Wow.
whatever, you know, if that's how you want to do it and you're going to pay through the nose, you know, then, okay, I guess that's what we're doing. But now they're like, well, like, obviously we're not going to do it union. We're going to do it non-union, and we're going to do it at, you know, 100th of the rate that it was, you know, just 2 or 3 years ago. Wow, man. You know, it used to be, you know, one campaign. A talent had one campaign, and, you know, they were in a bigger house.
Wow, I just can't fathom that.
Skip-it-a-ba-ba-ba.
How often are you finding yourself turning down projects from clients due to budget?
It was a constant for a while. And then we lost those clients. You know,
Man.
We had clients that were bringing in stuff, you know, that was consistently low. And it was like, okay, this is a educational opportunity and let's discuss this with them and whatever. And they'd be like, okay, cool. And then we had a bunch of clients that were like, hey, listen, you know, we got this one. We know that the budget stinks or whatever. We're not going to bother you. We'll only contact you when it's stuff that's, you know, that pays decently. That's fair. But then they just stopped doing that too. They either stopped paying decently or stopped paying fair. Or they just said, you know, listen, there's other agencies out there who will take anything. And there's a lot of agencies still that will take anything. You know, and screw them, man. Because really, they're not doing their job. You know, like I was saying before, you have to serve the talent and you have to serve the client. And it's a 50-50 kind of thing, and everybody has to be happy. And if you're doing no vetting, if you're doing nothing to protect the industry, then you're doing nothing to protect your talent. And that's half your job. So you suck as an agent, and you suck as somebody who's being trusted to work in this industry and to look out for the industry itself. Even on the client side, for God's sakes, they need the industry to be there. They can't just all go to freaking Voices or whatever. That's garbage, man. Everybody who uses voiceover needs this industry to be healthy and survive. And if you're an agent that's just taking anything and, okay, I'll send it out to my people, what are you doing? You know, you're not worthy of respect. That's for damn sure. And unfortunately, there's too many out there that are like that. And there's too many ad agencies that got friggin' huge, man. And they got huge by saying, don't go union. Are you nuts? Go non-union. We could pay like peanuts, and every contract we have, it says all use, all cuts, all versions, all lips, all friggin' whatever. So now we put it out. So instead of this costing like $100,000, it costs like $2,000 or whatever. We do a bunch of alts at the end of the session, and then we have your whole campaign. We can make like 50 spots out of this when we're paying per spot, right? No, that's the beauty of it, man. We can give you the whole campaign for friggin' nothing, for the price of 1/10 of one spot. And then, like, imagine that. Those ad agencies got huge, and now they're doing everybody's advertising. So, and they're going to the agents that will take anything. So it's, just that aspect of things happening has had a massively detrimental effect on talent. And just, again, this isn't like, back in my day, we used to have a sarsaparilla and we were rich and meh. And all like the newbies are like, we don't care, screw you, whatever. No, man, this, I'm talking about, this as compared to 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's such a massive, massive blow that happens, that they're all like buddies. So you got ad agency guys who are getting more and more popular because they're way, way cheaper and are making all right ads. And then part of their business model is like, well, let's pay the vendors as little as humanly possible, which from a business standpoint, I suppose that makes sense. But then that becomes, it becomes the norm. Every time talent accepts some junk rate, that client doesn't pay over that anymore. That's it. If they had a good experience with a good talent and that talent did it for X amount of dollars, why are they going to pay 2X next time? They're not. So it's, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. And every time somebody just, yeah, okay, I'll do it. That's it, man. Another one bites the dust. We lose another client. We lose another, whatever. And people don't think that way. They're not thinking, is this good for the industry? And I get it because I'm a loudmouth idiot who'd be like, no, you have to blah, blah, blah. And then clients were like, well, screw you then, buddy. Like, you're a pain in the ass. Well, yeah, kind of. If everybody was a pain in the ass and they said, no, you can't pay $5 for this, we wouldn't be in this situation. But when me and other folks, agents, alliance folks and some other agents fought back and said, no, of course there were other people to jump in and be like, well, yes, I'll like that, here's an opportunity for me as a bottom feeding piece of garbage to come in and take this, low paying thing. Somebody said I was funny, didn't they? Isn't this hysterical?
This is comedy gold, man. Seriously.
Jesus Christ.
And the candor,
man, oh man,
that's
this
what
is like the most horrific bummer of a show. I'm sorry, man. Guys are writing notes.
But you're telling it like it is.
Ask Sheppard again.
No, yeah,
that's
he
what I
did
heard.
say he tells it like it is,
and you're funny.
and he's funny.
Well, I mean, it's,
So, Eric, if one of our listeners and a talent were to reach out to the...
Oh, because they're going to be reaching out to you.
Jumped off a bridge yet.
Sheppard Agency.
If one of our listeners hasn't ended their life after listening to you drone on about the death of everything.
Skip it a bop bop wow.
What would you tell them not to do in their submission?
Oh, for an agent?
Yeah, we're gonna have people submit to you. I can almost guarantee
Agency.
it. So, what do you want to tell them?
It's pretty much the same, for almost every agency. Not that I'm going like to too many other websites, but I know everybody kind of has what they want. There's stuff that they're interested in. There's some agents, they want you to read a thing first and whatever. Some agents, they want to hear your studio. Give us like some room noise, which, talent are going to lie about that anyway. But yeah, because they're liars,
Is it okay if I clean it up?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If you say, oh, just send me room note, like no cleanup or whatever, That's the thing. Yeah. Especially talent that have just started. And it's like, send me some, clean. I just want to hear your stuff. And then, you get back this like when it, like over processed. Every word ends with like, shh. All right. So I was, no, it's no processing. It's clean, totally clean. No, it's not.
And I know the artifacts you're talking about right there.
Yeah. It's clean. Sure. But anyway, yeah, all agents want different stuff. But for the most part, they tell you. It's on the website, So, and I know like talent have their own thing. Where they're like, here's my email and it's witty and it's great and it's, blah, 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 whatever. And they just want to like, BCC 100 agents and then be done. So like I get it, but that sucks. Like that's not the way to do it. And most people are just gonna be like, click, and they're not gonna listen to it. And you have to realize agents are inundated. And even if they like you, studio. For us, the way that we operate, because we don't do it like local, we're not like a local agency, because we started in New York and we're here and our talent are everywhere and our clients are everywhere and whatever. So 99% of the time it's from a home studio. So your home studio has to be rocking. It's got to kill, we need your, we got to know your mic and your pre and blah, 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 and whatever. So anyway, if somebody submits to us, and then they're blah, 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 and I've done this and I've done that, and I met you one time at a thing and whatever. Here's my headshot. Yeah, thanks.
How does that headshot sound, by the way?
We get so many headshots. Like, really? Don't send.
No.
Yeah. So I get them in the mail, like physical headshot, like in the mail. And on the back, it's like, my voice is low and mellifluous. Dude, it's not like I'm, whatever. People are nuts, man. But like, even if you give me all that blah, 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 or whatever, I need to know about your studio because that's one of the things that we need to know about. Perhaps some LA agency doesn't care because all their clients are local and they like to send you into voice tracks or whatever. You know what I mean? That might not be a big deal to them. So just go to the website, find out, do some clicky click and find out how they like to be submitted to. Most of the time, like for us, there's a link, man. You click the link. We get... I love talent. I do, really. I married a talent. Like, I am a talent. I know I'm like bitch about them all the time, but it's just funny, like the people that you meet. This happens so often. It just happened to me, I swear to God, less than a week ago. We get a phone call, and hello, Sheppard Agency, blah, blah, blah. I used to answer, I'd just be like, Sheppard, and they all thought it was like a recorded whatever thing, because I talk like an idiot, I guess, from doing telephony for 30 years, They're like, hello?
Someone there? I don't know. It's like some voiceover thing.
And you should have jumped in. Please hold just a moment longer. We'll be right with you.
Yeah. So, so you answer it, so you don't know if it's a client or a talent or whatever, and you're like, oh God, please don't be like a talent, oh, somebody told me I have a nice voice and I got a Yeti and I don't, whatever, But so you get some. Are you taking on new talent? Which that's like a fair, question. All right. So go to the website and there's a link on the contact page. Okay, hold on. I'm not seeing the contact page. Okay. I'm stuck. I'm on your homepage. I'm looking on your home, and I swear to God, and you're just sitting there on the phone. Like, kill me. Kill me. What is your name? Because I will never rep you. How do you
exactly?
How do you get to Well, there's a menu. If you click the menu, you get okay. I'm there. Okay, I'm on contact. Okay, now what? It's just a voice actor submission. You want to click where it says voice actor submission. I see your phone number. Yeah, well, you called me. Okay, hold on.
I see a crown up here. Is that it?
Yeah, and then it's like, you get that whole, like, really? So I get it. Like, this is very difficult for most people, or for some people, but for most people, they'll be able to like go to a contact page and look for a link that says, submit here. This is all this stuff we want to know about you, which was the longest possible way I could have answered your very simple question about how to submit. So yeah, in a roundabout, insanely ridiculous, long-winded way. Do what they want, man. They're asking whatever questions or whatever rigmarole they want. It's because it's important to them. So do that.
Excellent. Way to crystallize that. That's perfect. Well, Erik Sheppard,
you could have just said that.
No. We love the droning on. I mean, that's what moves this podcast along, man. So if you want to reach out to Erik, you can go to his website. And Erik, for everybody that doesn't know about you, how can they reach out to you on your website?
Sheppard.agency. No .com. There's no .net. Just go to Sheppard.agency.
And right there you'll see.
If you're looking to hire voiceover talent, go there. If you are a voiceover talent, don't go there. No. If you are going to go there, then let's go to the contact page, and then on the bottom, on the right, is where the submission thing is.
Please hold my
hand. That's where you could submit. And then maybe 2 years from now, I'll get back to you. And then you get very angry. Do you know who I am?
Oh, yeah.
I wait for no man.
That's a good way to
Well, thanks for keeping it real, Erik.
Yeah, this has been a blast. Thanks so much for doing this,
Yeah, you guys
Erik.
are great, man. This is fun. Anytime.
Yeah, happy to do it with you. And hopefully, if we haven't bored you too much, we'll have you on again sometime.
Anytime. This is fun.
All right. Thanks, Erik.
Well, thanks so much. Erik Sheppard from the Sheppard Agency, and he's great. He's doing great things in the voiceover world, and happy to have him on board the Middle Class VO podcast.
The Middle Class VO podcast is a K2 Media Productions production.
All views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests. The McVob jingle was written and produced by Kevin.
Co-produced and performed by Chloe Dolandis.
Additional engineering by Zach Zimmett.
Bobby's hair and makeup by Rebecca Adlita.
Kevin's wardrobe by Slippery Pete's Fashion Emporium.
All previous episodes are available for download on Podbean.
For the Middle Class VO podcast, I'm Tracy Thibodeau.
I'm Lisa Lou Perry.
Thanks for listening.
And don't miss the next episode of
The Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast.